Going on? What's going on, family? Boxing Talk up north. It's your host Ryan Fraser, and I'm joined by Jay Swift, man, all the way in Dominican Republic. What's going on, my brother?
Yo, what's good, my brother? First of all, what I'm saying? I want to say I appreciate you having me on. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you. And just to let the people know, I am here in the Dominican Republic. I run the press for Santiago's Boxing Association. So I'm at a lot of elite level boxing tournaments, a lot of the best boxers in the country. I get to cover that personally. I'm at the neutral corner. And of course, I cover boxing overall. So you see that I make content, for the best fighters in the world,
Yeah,
Crawford,
no,
and
absolutely,
everybody else.
man. And I'm gonna bring in my guy, man, Ian Green. What's going on, brother?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Going on, man. Top boxing news. Check him out there on Instagram. Yeah, fellas. I mean, yo, boxing is starting to pick back up. August is kind of a slow month. I think every year August is slow. But September's pretty good, man. I mean, well, we got some drama, man. Boots and Brian Norman. Like, what do y'all think happened there? Did somebody duck? The fight
Um,
not ready? Or is it just one of these situations where both guys are still young, so they can still build on the fight. But what do you guys think, man? I'll start with you, Jay.
so I'm gonna tell you straight up, man. In my opinion, Eddie Hearn dropped the ball, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. So there's already negotiations going back and forth, right? So apparently they're trying to make the fight happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to my understanding, what made this whole thing fall through is the fact that they didn't want to pay Brian Norman, right?
Yeah,
Brian Norman Jr.
yeah,
Now, let's take this into consideration, right? Ever since Boots signed with Matchroom, we've seen Eddie Hearn on overdrive as far as picking up Boots' star power. If you remember
yeah,
that week he signed, it was every single day. Eddie Hearn himself posting, "We signed him, we got him,
yeah,
etc."
yeah, yeah.
They're on overdrive in the Boost bandwagon, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you're already working on building that star, yo, why not invest this money in that fight with Brian Norman Jr., who's gonna get him to unify titles? It's gonna be a
Right.
big win for his resume, and it's gonna get his star power up. It's gonna, we're developing, right? But instead, now he's gonna fight Karen. I can't pronounce the guy's last name. He's gonna fight him
Yeah.
for less money,
Rematch.
for no title. Plus, this dude has a real awkward style, and it's hard to look good against that guy. So we might end up with another fight where people say, "Oh, Boots, he's a hype job because he didn't stop him." This is not a good matchup, so I don't like this fight. I think Eddie Hearn dropped the ball.
Okay. What about you, Ian Green? How you feel about this situation with Boots and Norman Jr.?
I don't know. Based off what we're hearing, it sounds like Eddie offered Norman what 1.5, and it was said in his previous fight, which was for a world title, his biggest payday was just over 100K. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
15% or 15 times increase in what he made last time out, and it's for another world title. And I think Brian Norman Jr. just got a fight announced today, and we were
Yeah.
just talking about negotiations with Boots a couple of days ago. So I think that means that they had, and I reported on the Norman fight days ago. So basically, right when negotiations with Boots stopped, um, it seemed that this fight for Norman was signed and just waiting to be announced. So I don't
Right.
know. I
Yeah.
think the Normans, him and his dad, I think they maybe had in their back pocket this fight on November 8th on Top Rank with Derek Cuevas, which is who he's fighting. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems that Eddie offered Norman multiple different offers, and Eddie said himself that it was well over 1.5 million. I don't know. I think the fact that um, Eddie is obviously trying to make the best fights for Boots, and he obviously believes in Boots. And then I think a big thing is that Norman just got a fight announced days after these negotiations were happening. I think that might say that the Norman. I'm not saying they were just doing it for publicity, but I
Yeah.
don't know if they. I think they had the Cuevas fight in their back pocket the whole time. I think they were leaning on that.
I, I want to
Absolutely.
I want to respond to something though, real quick that you said. You mentioned about let me see, was it that Norman? Oh my God, you said something that I wanted to respond to, but I can't remember what it was. But it was about the negotiations. Okay, yes. So we have to remember you mentioned that Brian Norman made around 100,000 right in his last fight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, guess what? That's right around the same amount that Boots made too.
In
They're
his
in the
last
same.
fight,
I
If
think he
we
made like
look,
3 million or something like that
if,
his last
if
fight.
if we look, no, before that, yo, they made
Oh,
about
okay. When he was with Showtime, you mean?
they both made about the same money. They both in the same pay bracket.
Yeah,
So Boots' current value is based on what Eddie Hearn says it is. Like, okay, I signed him. He's a star. I believe he needs to get paid this much. He's valuing
yeah.
his fighter, which I get that. He's the promoter. But if we look back at the amount of money that they made, I'm telling you, they both were making about the same amount of money.
No,
So
that's true.
Boots is also getting a huge raise from his pay. So what Brian Norman Jr. is saying, okay, you're gonna get 3 million, let me get two. They're valuing you at three. My team is valuing me at two. I'm bringing a title to the table. You got to take
Right.
into consideration. You got to take into consideration that Karen brings no title, and Boots is gonna get less money against him. Plus, that's
He's
gonna
got to
be
go over the pond, man.
that's not even a good matchup, man. So all I'm saying is that yes, they did make a fight rather quick, but we see this in boxing all the time where a guy has a plan A and a plan B. If this don't work out with this guy, I'm gonna go with this guy. That happens all the time. That's not gonna be something exclusive to this. But Brian Norman Jr. and his pops, they made an effort to make the fight happen. They kept making a counter offer and saying, yo, let's make it happen. And eventually they say, you know what? We're going in a different direction because Eddie Hearn is not trying to pay us. But think about this. Eddie Hearn offered $1.7 million. And Brian Norman Jr. and his pops are saying, we want $2 million. So essentially, $300 is the difference between a title shot, a unification with Brian Norman Jr. and a rematch with Karen. Somebody a fight nobody wants to see.
Yeah. No, man, I'm kind of like I'm on the fence with it, but at the same time, I understand. Brian Norman's only 23, man. He's the youngest champ in boxing right now. I didn't really understand that until a few weeks ago. So he's the youngest champ in boxing, and they're gonna want to get paid. I get it, man. So they're looking at it like, let's see how desperate Eddie is. Is he gonna give us the money? Because it's what we want. And I think the other champs, I think the problem was when Boots won his last fight, he showed his hand. He said, I want to be undisputed at 47. He should have never said that. He should have just kept it on the low. They should have navigated because all the 47 pounders are saying, you're going to have to pay us now for our belt.
No,
Barrios is saying it. Stanionis is saying it.
Listen, but we have to take this into consideration. We all know, I believe all three of us understand that Boots is a generational talent, right? He's the type of guy that he can do special things in the ring and he can really hurt you as well. And he can make you look bad, right? So, if you have a guy like that, people gonna want to get paid to fight him regardless. You're gonna have to pay that money up, or you're gonna get a bunch of B-level fighters.
Yeah.
Pay them.
Yeah, and that's Eddie Hearn's fault. He called him the best fighter on the planet, but like, I don't even know Boots beat a former champ yet. Like, that's like, to me, I like to see guys, take those fights first. Like Virgil Ortiz looked unstoppable until he fought somebody who was real. He got dropped twice. So we still gotta see Boots fight somebody who's real to really call him generational. In my opinion, man, like boxing, you know what it is, man. Once resistance come, we see who's really real and who's not. It don't take much. So I think at the end of the day, we will get this fight if Boots can stay at 47, but he looks like he's a big 47. So I would just go to 54, man. The names, like the legacy fights, are at 54, not 47, in my opinion. If he can beat guys like Tim Tszyu, Jermell Charlo coming back, or even Virgil Ortiz, like that'd be a great matchup, Boots and Virgil. like those names, and the money's way higher for those fights too. I think the fans would really rally behind the 54 fights rather than the 47, to be honest. But they want to be undisputed, so they showed their hand. Now they know the price, man. It's 2 million is the low, at least with Norman Jr. So Stanionis and Barrios, they're gonna say the same thing. They're gonna be like, yo, we want 2 as well or more, and that's just that's the set.
Stanionis already said, make me a real offer. So they already know.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Stanionis, I mean, look, he fought like once in like the last 2 years or so. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but his problem was politics, because remember him and Virgil was slated to
Yeah,
fight.
that's true. Oh, I forgot
And then
about the
Virgil
Georgia
had
thing, man.
medical situation. It was pushed back. Then he couldn't fight again, so the fight just fell off. But they lasted a whole year trying to make
Yeah.
that fight.
Yeah, the Virgil thing really did send him back. You're right, man. That was like a couple years because they're supposed to fight twice or 3 times. Yeah, man.
They just kept
Yeah,
getting pushed
man.
back.
So did Eddie drop the ball with losing this purse bid, man? Like I couldn't believe he lost the purse bid. Like, you speak so highly of Boots, you should make sure the money you putting down is gonna get you the win of the purse bid, at least in Philadelphia. So do you think this was a good move for Matchroom or not? Let's start with you, Jay.
To be honest, man, and I'm an Eddie Hearn guy, because I've seen him make a lot of great moves, a lot of great business decisions. You know, he has Boots and he has Shakur now on the stable. He has
Yeah.
Bam. So I'm an Eddie Hearn guy, but I believe that he dropped the ball. Like, if it's your guy, you know, and you promote him so hard, put the money up. You know what I'm saying? Put the money up, man. You're not supposed to be, and then you're being outbid by somebody that's going low. You know, I get it. You know, if it was a crazy high bid, it's like, damn, nobody would have expected that.
Right,
But they
right.
outbid him with a low bid, so it wasn't a good look to me.
Yeah, what you think about that, Ian Green, when we heard that news?
I think that low bid just shows that they have no intention of taking the fight.
That's
It's a
true.
horrible worst case scenario for Boots. I mean, when Boots signed with Matchroom, Eddie Hearn was talking him up. I'm going to make you into a superstar and all that. In his first fight, he's supposed to fight Cody Crowley, which isn't a superstar name, but it's a fight against an undefeated guy. And then that falls through, and he's got to fight Abanesian, who's a good fighter, but doesn't bring as much name value as Crowley did. And win there. And then it looks like we could get a unification fight. And within a week, we're talking about a unification fight. And now we're talking about a rematch with a guy who he fought back in early 2023. And I think we all know that was not a very entertaining fight. And let alone Matchroom doesn't even have the rights to this fight. K2,
Yeah, exactly.
which is Karen's promotional company. I mean, who knows? They could stage this fight in over in Europe, which, like, I don't know. I don't see them taking this fight because it is such a step back. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
even though I think it's good for. I want Boots to be undisputed at 147 because I think he obviously has the talent to do that, and you shouldn't be rushing him. You know, he's still young. Let him get undisputed and be accomplished at 140 or 147 until he goes up and fights bigger names at 154. Let him handle business at 147 before he moves up. But now, I mean, it's like your only choice is to move up because you're so stalled. And yeah, I mean, I don't see him taking this fight with Karen. And yeah, even though I don't want him to, and I want him to finish it, like get the job done at 147 against all the champions, I think their only moves is to move up next.
Yeah, man. No, honestly, I'm the same way. Like, I feel like this is such a halt for Boots to get the undisputed that, you know, at least if you had the unification belt with Norman, you have 2 belts going into 2025, you know, because, you know, the PBC, man, they don't like to play nice with people across the street. So they would have made Eddie Hearn have to pay an arm and a limb, and they probably would have had to go on PBC for those fights. So it's like, it's such a far, it's probably like more like 2 years now away from him being undisputed. Like, it pushes him back another year. And I just think, like, with the way 154 is and the way that set up right now, you probably want to be there because Crawford's there and that's Turkey's guy. So Turkey's gonna make the big money fights for Crawford. The fans demand Boots. He's gonna offer Boots life-changing money to fight Crawford. So I mean, if I'm Boots and Bozy, man, I feel like I'm in a tough spot because it's like do we go over to Germany and defend our belt, or do we just say scrap the plans and start from ground zero pretty much? Because if you go up to 54, you can't fight the guy Backroom because Tim Tszú's fighting him now. Like that would have been like he could have used his IBF belt to fight the 54 IBF, and then he would have literally been in the way of Terence Crawford being undisputed at 54. But instead, you're at ground zero, and it's kind of like for Boots. It's like when he moved, well, like not when he moved up, but when he became a big name at 47. Spence and Crawford were on their way out, and he missed out on those big fights. He's missing out on the big fights again. And I'm just like, man, you know what? You might have to jump to 54 just to make sure you get some good money here. Because, I mean, I think he's 28. So he's approaching his 30s. But, I mean.
No. Boots, I think he's 26.
26? Okay. So, yeah, he has time still. But I'm just saying, like, he can even get to 60. I think Boots is that talented where he can get up to 60 and win some titles as well. So, I mean, yeah, 26, you still have some time. So I guess they could stay a year at 47 and see how it goes. But I just know, man, PBC is not going to play nice with those belts, man. They're going to try to hold on to those belts as long as possible, and they're going to make Eddie Hearn empty the bank account in order to get it. That's for sure.
No, but let me tell you something. Boots, he's a pretty big dude, and honestly, I don't think he could make 147 for too much longer. He's actually expressed recently that he's considering already going to 154 because obviously the politics is going to be very hard to get another title in the division. So with his size, honestly, man, I don't think he can make it long enough to get undisputed. Because think about it, he's not going to get champion after champion in the division.
Right.
So it would take years, and I don't think he can make weight for years. So I think he's leaving at 154.
And I think the IBF has that 10-pound rehydration clause, so he has to do that every fight. So that's why the unification would have benefited him, because I think it scraps it once you're a unification belt. You don't have to do it. But yeah, if he has to do that every time, it just, like you said, it depletes him more, makes it harder. Yeah, man, the WBO. Sorry, my man. The WBO has ordered Crawford and Fundora. Like, thank you, WBO. They love Terence Crawford, and they're trying to make him 3-time undisputed, man. Fundora, does he take the fight or not? Like, what do you guys think is going to happen with that? Because I heard Earl Spence and Fundora was also a big rumor, but we don't know if Spence even has a coach. Yeah, I'll let you go, Jay, on that one.
So we have to remember the WBO does have it on its rules that if you're their champion and you move up to the following division, you automatically get a title shot with whoever has it, right? In this case, it's Fundora. So this is not nothing, special being done for Bud. Is the rules being followed?
Yeah.
Now Fundora does have the option that he can either vacate the title and fight Errol at the end of the year. They actually spoke about that. In fact, that if you may recall, that fight was announced at some point for like October, and then it was pushed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was announced, and then it kind of like fell off, like they stopped talking about it. But Fundora has his options, and he's expressed that he would like to defend. But his pops has personally said that he prefers his son fight Errol Spence. So I think there's a little back and forth in there where Fundora wants to fight Bud, but his family don't. That's why I'm not sure how it's going to play out. But I think he should defend his title. If he doesn't defend, Crawford is going to end up with it. And that's going to put Crawford one title away from becoming undisputed in the third division, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, man. What do you think about that, Ian Green, the Crawford and Fundora fight? Gonna happen or not?
I don't know if it's tough to tell who, because I mean, I think Fundora is going to take any big fight he gets offered, because I'm not saying he lucked into the position he's in, but there were a lot of circumstances that went into him becoming unified champion. He gets knocked out by Mendoza, takes a year off, and Keith Thurman has to pull out last minute, so they throw Fundora in to fight Spence for, what was it, WBO and WBC?
Oh, yeah. Yep. That was, Eliminator. Or was it? Yeah.
But they throw him in against Tszú, and what was it, in the second round, his elbow hits the top of Spence's head, cuts him open. It has blood in his eyes for 10 straight rounds, and Fundora gets a close decision. So I'm not saying he lucked into where he is, but there were definitely a lot of circumstances that went into him becoming champion. I think now that he's champion, he's gonna want to make the most out of it and make the biggest fights. So I think Fundora is willing to take. I think he'd even settle for less money against Crawford, because I think right now in time, Fundora Crawford's a bigger fight than Fundora Spence, just because Crawford's obviously got a lot more value than Spence, given what he did to Spence last year.
Yeah.
And Crawford has a belt. And I think Fundora is willing to take whatever fight. I think you've heard Eddie Hearn talk about it a lot. What's left in Crawford, not physically, but mentally? Does Crawford really want to have to go through a whole nother division at his? He's either, 36 or 37 now, so that'd be a lot. And Crawford's obviously talking about the Canelo fight nonstop. So,
yeah, he is. Yeah.
So, and it's not that fight's impossible. It's just kind of, I don't know if Canelo is going to want to take that, but I mean, it's possible. They've both said that Crawford really wants to fight. Canelo said he'd be open to it. I think Crawford is Canelo above all right now, because if he loses to Canelo, it doesn't really do anything to his legacy. He's jumping up a million weight classes, fighting one of the best in the world. So it's really a win-win there, because you're making a ton of money. That's probably money-wise maybe the biggest fight in boxing, other than some tank fights. But no, I think it's really up to Crawford if the fight happens, because he might just be chasing bigger paydays with guys like Canelo.
Yeah, that's true, man. I think the fight might happen, man, because I think Crawford's got to look at this like, I can do another thing in history that's never been done. He's already did undisputed twice, the first ever. Why not be the first ever for 3? I mean, the only other guy I think that could get close to that is Inoue, and I don't even know if Inoue's interested in that. He doesn't seem like he's rushing up to 26. Yeah, what you said? You got to say something, Jay.
So I just want to say this. Think about this, because Crawford is 36. He's going to be 37, but he can do 3 more fights, and this is it right here, right? Fundora, the winner of Tim Tszyu and this other guy who's
Backroom,
the title, exactly. So with those 2 fights, now he's undisputed at 154. Should he win them, right? And then right there, Canelo third. 3 fights. In 3 fights, he can become undisputed in the 3rd division and fight Canelo Alvarez to retire.
Yeah. And Canelo can continue to do what he does, and he can just fight whoever he wants.
By the way, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh expressed privately and publicly that he wants Bud versus Canelo. He's expressed that publicly. So after Canelo fight Berlanga, they're gonna revisit those talks. And
for sure, yeah.
And take this into consideration based on the information that's out there, right? Canelo, and I'm not gonna quote anybody, but this is what I've heard. Canelo wanted, when he spoke to Turkey, 150 million for Crawford and 200 million for Benavidez. That's why apparently Turkey walked away. You may recall that he even posted he's asking for ridiculous stuff. We're not playing like that. We're gonna pay you what's fair. He said something along those lines. But based off of that, after that though, Canelo reached out and said, "Yo, I'm willing to talk. Let's talk after I beat Berlanga." So, I think he's gonna end up, if he has the choice, Crawford, Benavidez, I think he's gonna go with Crawford, because he's been staying away from Benavidez his whole career. So why is he gonna fight him at this point and get beat up?
Yeah, the younger guy too. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, man, which leads to our next topic. Canelo has hinted Crawford fight and Bivol. I was surprised he even said Dmitry Bivol should he beat Arthur Beterbiev in October, and I'm like, man, you still got to fight Edgar Berlanga, man, the Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? He's got heavy hands. Is Canelo overlooking Berlanga, or are we not giving Berlanga a shot at all? What you got to say about it, Ian Green?
I'm actually one of the few that's giving Berlanga a decent chance in this fight. I don't think he's going to win, but he's young. His skill and boxing ability, I believe, is a little underrated. He's He's fast. I wouldn't say he's crafty, but he's obviously powerful. He starts fast, which Canelo does not. So I think that could prove difficult. But for the fact of Canelo calling out Bivol, I don't think it's like I don't know. I think it's a big ego thing with him because he wants to get that one back. You know,
Mm-hmm.
people
Yeah.
really took a lot like like Canelo was without a doubt number one pound for pound until he lost to Bivol. I think with a win over Bivol, if Bivol's to beat Beterbiev, a win over Bivol presents you a win over one of the two guys that has ever beaten you. It gives you undisputed at 175. It gives you taking that fight from Benavidez, and it probably gives him pound for pound number one again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's a.
I think he's
I-
just going out Bivol just because if Bivol beats Beterbiev, it's too good of a fight not to take for Canelo, you know?
No, that's true. Yeah, Jay, what do you think about that? Canelo hinting
Um,
Crawford and Bivol.
well, to be honest, the first thing I think Canelo's gonna wash Berlanga. I think you're gonna absolutely wash him, maybe even stop him. The reason I say this is because Edgar Berlanga is a skilled fighter. He has power, but when I compare him to other fighters in his age group, if I look at videos of Berlanga from 5 years ago and I
Yeah.
see his video from his last fight, I don't see the progression. It doesn't feel like he has kept getting better and better. It feels like it's the same Edgar Berlanga over and over and over. And I don't know, something to bring to attention that I consider. This is Edgar Berlanga's first title fight. You
Yeah,
making
that's true.
you're
Yeah.
making your title debut against one of the best fighters of this era, probably arguably the best Mexican fighter of all time. That's arguable. I know there's other options as well,
Yeah,
but
you
you're gonna
got some
make a
people shooting you,
debut.
man.
You're gonna make a debut against this guy, and I think that the lights are gonna be a little bit too bright for Berlanga. It
Yeah.
felt to me that way in that first presser. He looked nervous. I'm gonna break your whole face. Watch it. And then he was smiling. He looked nervous. I felt nervous energy. So I think he's gonna get
Mm-hmm.
watched, right? And as far as Canelo and Bivol, I think that's a bad idea, simply because we have to take into consideration, man. That fight wasn't even close. Bivol
Yeah.
watched them. So normally, right, if a fight is really close, if it's a split decision, if people saying it's a robbery, everybody's asking for a rematch. Nobody asking for this. Like, this is not a rematch worthy fight. The outcome of the last fight was
Mm-hmm.
not rematch worthy, right? But this is Canelo Alvarez. He's a big star, and he can get his rematch if he wants it. I think that if they fight, it'll play out the same way. Actually, it might even play out worse because now Bivol is going to be more comfortable. Something to keep in mind, guys. Floyd Mayweather and Bivol, the two guys that beat him, they
Mm-hmm.
didn't beat him with power. They beat him with boxing skills.
Yeah.
Beat him with the reach. And remember with Lara, till this day, some people feel like Lara beat Canelo with the reach.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, boxing it. Yeah, for sure.
I think Bivol beats him again.
Yeah, man. I'm on the fence because like I saw Canelo his last two fights. He doesn't sit down in the corner no more. He's extremely conditioned since moving his training up to Big Bear Lake, and I'm like, that was always my thing with Canelo. He gasses out late in fights. He loses steam. And if he's not sitting now for these fights, he's telling me that you're telling the world that he's not gassing out anymore. So he may give Bivol a run for his money if Bivol has a war with Better Beef. That's what I think it'll take. It'll take Better Beef to beat up Bivol a bit, for him to slow down Bivol. And I think that's where Canelo Alvarez can take advantage of Dimitri, is if he comes into that fight after just an all-out war. Like we just saw Tyson Fury, man. He had wars with Wilder. I think that took stuff out of him. I never seen like Usyk almost stopped him in that fight. Like that ninth round, if that he doesn't go in the ropes and the ref, I don't know why the ref stopped and gave him a count. That could have been a Usyk stoppage right there. But I think those Wilder fights took something out of Fury too, just as much as it took out of Wilder. Clearly, we see Wilder's not the same. He's getting stopped by everybody. But I think, when you're in wars, after wars, like you're not the same. And Canelo hasn't really been in a war outside of Triple G. Like that's the only dude who I think's cracked him, and we haven't even seen Canelo get dropped. Like it's his whole career. He's never been rattled, which is I want to see Edgar Berlanga do that, but I don't think he's the one. Like even the Bivol fight, he was never really hurt. Like he was never really like he never looked like he was gonna get dropped. Like he was getting beat up, but I think I give him a chance to beat Bivol only if Better Beef beats up on Bivol pretty much. But the Crawford fight, I want to see the Crawford fight. It's just like you said, but I want to see Crawford do history too. I want to see him be undisputed 3 times. So it's like, does Crawford have enough motivation for us, the fans, to give us 3 more fights? Or is he just going to say, I'm going to do undisputed, or I just want Canelo and I'm out? It'll be interesting. We'll see. We'll see where it goes, though.
Definitely.
Oh, we got a couple comments here. Shout out to G5. He says, Bivol is horrible style matchup for Canelo. Yep. Yeah, man. Bivol is very, like, in and out. He's hard to predict, man. Shout out to Just Do Boxing. He says, Boots should just vacate and explore that Madrimov fight. Seems like he won't get the fight at 47. Yeah, Madrimov is still a good opponent. Like, I think he beats a lot of people at 54. Like, he gave Crawford problems.
The thing about Bivol, yo, is that he beat Canelo with his reach, his height, and his footwork.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned Lara before, because Lara gave Canelo problem with those same attributes.
Right, yeah. Lara was controlling the ring, man. That ring generalship is different. For sure. All right, let's get to the next topic. It's okay. Yeah, we pretty much talked about that, Canelo and Bud. Tim Tszyu, man. This is the first free card we're gonna get from PBZ. Tim Tszyu versus Backroom. I think they're in Orlando, October 19th. I don't remember seeing Backroom fight at all, man. But Tim Tszyu could put himself in the position, obviously, for a Crawford fight and another, maybe a Fundora rematch. Like, where do you guys think Tim Tszyu goes? I'll let you go there, Jay Smith.
So, I had never even seen this dude that's fighting Tim Tszyu. I did look up some highlights, and he looked like he's a skilled fighter, and he looked like he got power in both hands. I can tell you that right now. Obviously, I'm not sure how good he is because I haven't seen a full fight. I haven't seen him versus top level opponents, but he looks the part. I can tell you that. Now Tim Tszyu, I'm a Tim Tszyu guy. I believe he's gonna win that fight, and I'm pretty sure that he wants his rematch with Fundora. But of course, that rematch will literally hinge on what's gonna happen with Terence Crawford and Fundora. Because if Crawford and Fundora fight, and let's say Crawford wins that fight, then I know Tim Tszyu is gonna want to fight Crawford. And Tim, he's ready to fight anybody.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah, Ian Green, what do you think about that fight? Tim Tszyu going for the IBF title.
I think it's good. I think Tim is very deserving of a title shot, given the way he took on Fundora 2 weeks' notice and barely lost. I think it's good. He's getting right back in there into a title fight. Now with the guy he's fighting, Bakr Murtaziev, probably butchered that last name. He's solid. He fought Jack Colque for the title back in April, beat him by 11th round stoppage, I think. He's solid. I think Tszyu should win. I think PBC knows that Tszyu should win. I think everyone at 154 has been looking for a fight with Bakram because not that he's an easy fight, but I think they know he's the easiest fight out of all the champions right now.
Right, yeah.
I think Tszyu takes the title off of him, and I kind of was just thinking of this when we were talking about it earlier. Crawford has had a bit of an inactive streak recently. He hasn't been active. He's been fighting around, once a year on average, probably.
Yeah.
I see a path maybe. I think Fundora and Tszyu are both willing to be fairly active, Tszyu especially. I think if Tszyu picks the title up off of Bakram on the 19th, I think we could see early 2025. I think we could see Tszyu versus Fundora 2, and that would unify 3 of the titles.
Right.
Crawford's got the other one. So I could see Crawford just sitting out maybe until the rest of the titles are unified by the winner of Tszyu and Bakram against Fundora if Crawford doesn't end up fighting Fundora. And yeah, but for the Zoo Bachram fight, I think Zoo gets it done.
Yeah, that's true, and that's something that the PBC might be looking at too. Like we can make a rematch with Fundora for the WBC IBF titles. You know, vacate the WBO, let Terence Crawford grab it, and then we make Terence Crawford pay us back because he made Errol Spence pay him. You know, it might work out that way. But yeah, man, I hope that Tim Tszyu could pull it off. Like I said, like you said, he basically he made sure the card went on for those guys to get paid. Like that first Amazon card, it almost got canceled because Keith Thurman got injured. But Tim Tszyu, he took on a big challenge. Like Fedora is not no scrub. He brought him up and saved the whole card and got everybody paid pretty much. You know, a lot of those guys been on the shelf. So shout out to him. Unfortunately, he lost that fight, but now he's getting another shot, which is well deserving. Like Tim Tszyu's always given us good fights. He's always been active, and man, I like Tim Tszyu. I like his style. He's a warrior. You know, it's not a lot of skill, but it's a lot of heart, man. And you know he's coming to win. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
So, real quick, I just want to say I don't agree with you on the comment about it's not a lot of skill.
Mm.
If you look at his father, Tim Tszyu is a carbon copy of Costa Tszyu. They just not very flashy, but
Yeah, yeah,
they're
exactly.
very
Yeah, yeah,
skilled.
yeah,
Very skilled.
yeah. I guess that's what I mean. Not a lot of flair, like like the other guys. I guess I should say. But yeah, Tim Tszyu, he does his thing, man. And then today, Keyshawn Davis versus Lemos. Man, I think that's a great fight. Like, especially a lot of people thought Lemos beat Richard Hitchison. And Keyshawn Davis is back home. You know, Shakur's gone. I think Bob Arum is trying to hand him the keys to the division. Because they got a lot of belts over there at 35. What you think about that fight there, Ian Green, and those cards?
It's a good fight. Great card. You've got Norman's title defense on there. You got Abdullah Mason, Troy Isley, and Davis's brother Kelvin. As
Mm-hmm.
far as the main event goes, I think this is probably Keyshawn's last fight until a title fight. They've got Baranchek, who's, I mean, it seems Baranchek's just chumming the water for the next up and coming guy to
Yeah,
grab a
yeah,
title.
yeah. That's what it looks.
And I think they're trying to set Keyshawn up for that fight. Lamos's last fight when he fought Hitchens, I watched that live. I thought Lemos won. I thought the cards were not very fair.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I agree.
and that was up at 140. And
Yeah, it
now
was. Yeah.
he's moving back to 135. He hurt Hitchens a couple times early in that fight. I think he poses a threat here, but I think Keyshawn's a lot better. Lemos is an inside fighter. That's where he had his success against Hitchens. Pressuring him, Hitchens didn't really know how to deal with that. Keyshawn Davis knows how to handle himself on the inside. That's almost where he thrives, mid-range to inside.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a 12-rounder, and if it is a 12-rounder, I could see Keyshawn stopping Lemos.
Yeah. Yeah. What you think about that fight, Jay? Announced today. Keyshawn Davis going back
Listen,
home.
listen, Keyshawn Davis, he's definitely has the talent, the resources, I believe, to stop Lemos. And let me tell you something. He's a guy that you can see Top Rank is very invested in him.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the way they promote him. You can see the way that they announce his fights. So they're invested in him, and you know that they're going to look to get him a title shot ASAP. And I believe he deserves it.
Yeah, he's done a lot, man. Keyshawn Davis has been like performing. Like at the last fight, I think he was on the Shakur undercard. He stole the show,
Yeah,
man, because he was the
all the
best
show.
fight. And then Oshaki Foster bored us, and then Shakur bored us some more. Like that fight was a great fight. He stayed in the pocket, like you said, Ian, and he was returning shots. And I think that's what is going to be. He's going to stop Lemos because of that. He's going to catch him between the punches, which Keyshawn's gotten so much better at that than when he started.
Notice it. Notice this that I'm telling you right now, and you'll see it. Keyshawn Davis is doing some counter punches that look identical to the way Crawford does it.
Yes, you're actually yes, yeah.
Identical.
just so pinpoint, and like, yeah, he catches you right between where you're not gonna see them coming.
He had been training with Bud.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you could tell that he's improved so much, and I don't blame him for like saying Andy Cruz is not there, because he's so much further ahead right now. He's like, Andy Cruz is not a contender even. So shout out to Keyshawn, man. I hope he can get the Baranchek fight, but he's got to get past Lemos first. Lemos is not an easy fight. He's got to win this fight, and he's got to do it convincingly. He can't just come in here and bore us either. You know, it's got to be a convincing win, and I think he's got to prove something, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Keyshawn Davis, he's doing his thing, man. I like Keyshawn. Well, man, these guys, Tank and Shakur, are they on a crash course, or what do we think is going on with Tank and Shakur now? Because Tank, he doesn't even have an opponent. This is crazy. You got Tank Davis, who's one of the faces of boxing, and he doesn't have a fight. Shakur Stevenson's gonna fight Cordina in October. You guys think about that?
I think I think Shakur wants to fight, but I think Eddie's got a plan mapped out for him. Shakur obviously just signed with Matchroom. Eddie's plan, he said he wants Cordina in October, which is happening. Shakur gets past Cordina. It's Zepeda early next year. And then later next year, maybe in the summer, he wants Tank. And I think Tank, a lot of people think Jose Valenzuela is going to be his next fight. But then there were talks of him securing a date in Vegas in November. And Valenzuela said he doesn't want to fight till next year. So I don't see Tank fighting again this year, to be honest. I could see him just sitting out waiting for that Valenzuela fight early next year, because he's not known to be a crazy active guy. You know, he was out for more than a year until he fought Frank Morin. So I think their schedules will line up to fight, and ultimately I see the fight getting made. I do. I see it getting made next year. It took a while for Tank and Ryan to come to a deal, but eventually they did. It took a while for Fury Usyk to come to a deal, but eventually they did. Some fights are just too big to not make happen, and this is one of those fights. It might take a little longer than it should, but that fight's going to happen.
Yeah. What you think about Tank and Shakur, Jay Smith? We going to get it?
Yep, I agree. I think right now the stars had aligned perfectly for it to happen. If you recall, Lomachenko pulled out of possible negotiations with Tank Davis, and when he pulled out, immediately him and Shakur both were available at the same time. They went back and forth on social media. In fact, Tank's team said, we're going to send him a contract. He's going to get a contract. And Shakur said, I'm going to sign it when I get it. Well, guess what? A contract will never send. So as of right now, you know, Tank and his team, they don't want to make that fight with Shakur, at least right now. I can tell you guys that I am hearing that behind the scenes, Tank's team and Harayo's team are in talks to make that fight for the end of this year. So I know that Harayo says he don't want to fight till next year, but you know the type of payday that comes with Tank Davis, and I think that he's going to change his mind, and I actually believe that we're all going to get that fight, Tank versus Harayo, at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, that'd be a great fight. I mean, shout out.
By the way, I predicted Shakur beating Tank. By the way.
Oh, okay, so you got Shakur over Tank. Okay. Nah, man. Shout out to Tank. I mean, he got that big deal with Amazon, so he's got to make the big fights to get that money back to them. You know, they're gonna pay him very well, so they're not gonna just accept any fight. And I'm glad he's gonna be in a fight with Ryo, because that's at least 140 pounds title there, WBA, I believe. So there's fights up there too. I mean, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney's still there. He's coming back there. Pollo, Antoine Russell Jr. There's some names at 42. Liam Paro. But I don't think he'll campaign there long. Like you said, I think he'll fight Shakur Stevenson. Tank's always been kind of like he's a 35 pounder. Like, he doesn't like to go up and weight. So, but I think he's got enough power to go up to 47. Like, I think he's that strong. Like, I think he can knock dudes out at 47 too. But it's up to Tank to want to do that, I like Roberto Duran. Like he's one of my favorite fighters because he went up in weights, so many weight classes, and beat so many guys. And Oscar De La Hoya, he did the same thing when he came back against Bernard. Like he did something. I didn't think he needed to do that, but fought big Bernard Hopkins and lost. But I like when guys move up in weight and conquer divisions, man. Like it shows that they are really pound for pound talents with their skills.
The thing about that is though to take into consideration, as you move up in weight, it becomes a lot tougher if you're short. If
No,
you're short,
absolutely.
you don't have a reach advantage. You're gonna get to a division where they're a lot taller and hit a lot harder than the guys that you've been facing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
Tank is only 5'5". Even at 140, he's a very small fighter. At 140, at
yeah.
147, like imagine Tank going versus Boots. I believe he getting
Uh,
folded. He
I
getting
don't know,
folded.
man. Like boots don't really knock people out like that. So like that's what I feel like. Tank knocks people out like that. It's a question of can Boots take a tank punch? That's what it's a question of, because we know that Boots not
Telling
really
you,
punching like that.
yo, Boots is gonna fold Tank like a pretzel, B. Telling you.
I never seen Boots like he didn't even like stop like Via, did he? Didn't
He
that fight
stopped
go all 12?
He stopped Via.
But like I don't feel like he flattened him.
Yeah, but come on, bro. Boots has a high knockout percentage. He
Yeah, but
knocked out most of his opponents.
he stays in the kitchen. That's what I mean by like Tank. If Tank hits Boots, it's for me. It's a question of can Boots take a tank punch? Like I'm not worried about Tank taking a Boots punch. Like if I was Boots, I would never fight Tank on the inside because of what's coming back. Not even he's a small guy.
Boots is 5'10". He gonna beat up Tank from across the ring.
Yeah, but Barrios is bigger than Boots, and he beat up on Barrios.
Now they're about the same size.
I think Barrios is like 6 foot. Yeah. So like Tank, I think Tank be man. His punching power is the difference for real.
But we can't really compare Barrios and Boots, right? They're not even in the it's levels to this, and we know.
Nah, bro, I gotta see the fights, man. I can't do that. Like we've done eye tests so many times, and dudes have failed on us.
All right, man. Trust me, when the time is right, you're gonna be.
I mean, we thought AJ was gonna roll over Ruiz, didn't we?
Yeah, but that was an upset. Look, that was an upset. Look what happened in the rematch. Made it look easy.
No, he did.
Easy.
Yeah, I mean, Ruiz didn't do himself no help. Like he ate like 300 cheeseburgers. Like, but yeah, even like Jared Anderson, we thought he was gonna beat Bacoli. And Bacoli folded that man. That wasn't even like that wasn't competitive.
Bacoli, man, I believe he deserved a shot at the big boys with that type of performance that he put together.
No, absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, I never knew the dude had power like that. He clearly has power. But yeah, I feel like Jared Anderson was supposed to be the next American great heavyweight, and
listen. I've been off of the Jared Anderson bandwagon since, I don't know if you remember, it was like 3 years ago. He came out and said, "Oh, I don't care about titles. I'm about about making my money. I don't care for no titles." Yeah. As soon as he said that, I said to myself, you know what? This guy doesn't have the right mindset to be a champion, because he hasn't even seen millions of dollars yet, and he's already talking about money. He hasn't even seen real money like that yet. He's already talking about money.
That's true, yeah.
So right there, I was like, nah, man, this guy talking about he doesn't care for titles. He makes himself look bad. And let me tell you something. Fighters that say they don't care for titles, they make boxing look bad, because all sports are about the competitive nature, right? If nobody cares about title, then how competitive really is it?
Yeah. No, that's true, man. That's true.
So I've been said, nah, this guy, he's not gonna go far with that mindset.
Yeah, I don't know why he said that.
Look how he acted when he lost. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm gonna go see my daughter. I'm like super positive, super like, nah, he don't look like
paid.
He got that turkey money.
He
don't look like the champion.
No, that's true, man. Yeah, and Bacoli, obviously, he changed everything for him, because now he's in the talks of, fighting those top guys now, which is good for him, because he's gonna get another payday. Which Jared could have been that guy if he just took care of business. But yeah, man, that's unfortunate. But even Ruiz and Jarrell Miller fight was good too on that card. I really like that fight, even though Ruiz broke his hand. I never knew he broke his hand in that fight, but that's what's up.
Yeah, at the end of the fight, he actually took off his glove and showed it. His hand was,
Yeah,
his hand was like another
yeah,
glove.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was impressive for him to keep going. Like, cause I don't remember hearing him say anything between like the rounds to his corner, like my hands effed up or something like that. Usually, you hear fighters like, "Yo, I can't feel my fingers" or stuff like that. But
You might not have
nah.
noticed until the end of the fight because of adrenaline.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, I know. My brother's cut man. He's used to cut man for Wilder, and he said Wilder would always break his hands in fights. Like, he's like, I could never wrap this guy without breaking his hands. He'd always break his hands. Guess that's what happens when you got that much power, man.
Yeah, and at the end of the fight, he said that he felt discomfort. Like how you got a broken hand and you just felt discomfort.
Yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, he probably felt all of that pain once he stopped fighting, though, man. Jeez, going to the hospital, but at least you got paid, man. Yeah, man. Any like upcoming fights you guys looking forward to though? Like, I know we got Canelo in a couple weeks, but Danny Garcia's coming back. That's
I
Lara.
mean, exactly. I want to see Danny Garcia versus Lara, and then let's see how that plays out. Because remember, there's history between Terence Crawford and Danny Garcia. So
Yeah, like at
all I'm saying
47, right?
no, they never fought as professionals. They never fought as professionals. They fought in the amateurs.
Oh, okay, I thought I heard something about them fighting at 47 one time, and
No,
something happened with the deal.
No. What happened is that Danny Garcia wanted like $10 million at the time.
Oh, okay, okay.
And the crazy thing about that is that he was asking for that amount of money after he had already lost his title to Keith Thurman. So he wasn't even a champion. So he was like, yo, you don't even got a title. How you asking for that much money? He was like, he wanted to get, he overpriced himself.
Yeah.
You guys recall, before Crawford fought Spence, he tried to fight Danny Garcia, overpriced himself.
Right.
Thurman overpriced himself. Like all these people was asking for crazy purses to fight Crawford. That's why they froze him out for that amount of time.
Nah, that's true, man.
Who do y'all think wins better Bivol?
I'm rocking with my adopted Canadian brother, Better BF, to take Bivol late and stop him.
So I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I have not been able to make a prediction on that one yet. I think the way, I'm trying to just analyze different things, because this is a case of the puncher and the boxer, basically. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out if I believe that Bivol can stay away from that power punch that can change everything. Can he do it for 12 rounds? And I'm not ready to answer that question yet, because it's gonna go down to that. I tell you what, I can tell you this right now. If it goes the distance, Bivol's gonna win on the cards.
Yeah, I agree.
Right now, I can tell you that I feel comfortable about it. However, I can't make a prediction because I don't know if he can go 12 without getting caught by. You know how ruthless Better BF is. So yeah. I think my prediction is gonna come literally the day of the fight.
You got to see the weigh-in, how they look, man. Better BF, man. He's like, man, the last 100 KO ratio guy. I think Virgil Ortiz was that guy with him, and now it's just him. I think for him, he's got to like continue the pressure, like you said. Usually, I pick the boxer over the puncher, but I don't know, man. I think Better Reeves just like he cracks different. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And I think Bivol's never been in the ring with anybody who's cracked like that. But at the same time, Better Reeves never been in the ring with a boxer like Bivol. Bivol is elite. He beat Canelo easy.
That footwork.
Yep, that can get you out of it.
It's gonna take, like, if Better BF catches him, it's gonna take time and it's gonna take patience. Yeah. You're gonna have to dig to the body, chasing. You're gonna be chasing around a lot.
Yeah, he's gonna. Unfortunately, I think he's gonna give up early rounds. He's gonna give up a lot of early rounds, just trying to, like you said, take Bivol to the body to slow him down. But if he can get to him, he can get. It's gonna be, can Bivol take a punch from Better? That's what we're gonna be asking. Because if Bivol can, then Jesus, he's he's a different breed.
I don't
I
think
mean,
any
I
guy.
think you'll be. Listen, I think Bivol will be able to take a shot from Beterbiev. What I don't know is that can he handle that accumulation of damage? Can he handle those shots over the course of 12 rounds?
Right. Yeah, because that's
That's
where
what
Beterbiev is best at. Yeah. He
he's
breaks you
gonna break
down.
you down.
Hmm.
Eventually, that's it. So,
He's
I don't
demoralizing
know.
that way.
Because Bevo's best attribute is movement, and
Right.
what
Yeah.
Better BF does is he breaks you down to the point where that movement slows down. So I think it'll be a tale of if Bevo can stay true to himself for 12 rounds, or if Better BF's going to catch up to him. But that's the best fight in boxing, in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's
it's really 50-50, man.
round champions. I don't think there's a better fight that can be made. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. And there's a rematch clause in it, so we'll probably see it twice, hopefully. I just hope, second time is quicker than the first time, just like kind of like the Fury and Usyk, like the quick turnaround. Hope we don't have to wait for too long because Benavidez is up next, man. Apparently he got the winner, so if he can take care of business on his end, he said he's gonna steal Canelo's date next year. Can we imagine that? Cinco de Mayo weekend, Benavidez.
Listen. That's probably not even a good idea. Like, look what's happening. Look what's happening on September 14th, my people. Dana White, who chose to stage his event in the Sphere the same day Canelo's fighting. It's
Right.
already reported that over 3,000 tickets haven't been sold. Like, they invested a lot of money for this event, and they're gonna take a huge loss. Like,
probably around 100 million.
Oh my gosh.
So how do you decide to stage an event the same day Canelo's fighting? By the way, Canelo's also fighting in Vegas. That's number one. And number two, we have, a lot of people consider Canelo the face of boxing, but also the Mexican against the Puerto Rican. That's always big.
That's a big rivalry. Yeah.
You don't stage an event the same week, the same day.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And the UFC, like, I was confused about that because it's Mexican Independence Weekend and they don't even have a Mexican headliner. Like, at least you're gonna have a Mexican headliner, like, get the people there. But I guess Sean O'Malley, isn't he a big star in the UFC? I don't really watch the UFC that much, but
yeah, he's big.
He's a big guy,
he's one of the stars.
But it's weird. They're trying to market it as Mexican. They're trying to market it as the whole Mexican independence thing. Yet they don't have a Mexican headlining. And they're trying to make it this big thing at the Sphere. It seems like they're all just throwing a bunch of things into one, and they don't even know what the event is. They're marketing it as Noche, but like it's not in Mexico. Like, I don't know. And an issue is I went to Vegas a couple months ago, and I went to the Sphere.
Mm-hmm.
That thing's gonna cost a lot of money. That's gonna cost a lot of money. And what an issue. I mean, it's not like they can ticket prices are expensive, and they have to be because they're putting so much money into it. They're going to need to make the money back.
Right.
UFC, it's like combat sports. The typical audience for combat sports isn't necessarily not like the stereotype, but not known as like a wealthy audience. I don't think any sports are, but you know what I mean? Like, the diehard fans aren't like the rich celebrities. It's like the people who grow up around boxing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you're not gonna get all your diehard UFC fans that were like just dudes around their 20s looking forward to watching fights. They're not gonna have a couple $1,000 just throw around to make a trip to Vegas and put like almost 10K down on a UFC event. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Home. And I've been to the Sphere. It's a really cool experience in there, but the people they're trying to keep it on the down low of what's gonna happen when they go there because they don't want to spoil it. But you almost tell them everything that's gonna happen, or else they're not gonna buy into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so expensive, and they think they're just going there for another UFC fight. It's just like it's not worth it in their eyes, in the fans' eyes.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It feels like it's a rushed event, and I look at the UFC roster. I'm like, man, like I think John Jones is big. I don't even see him on it, so I'm like, do you really want to headline the Spear without your top dogs? Like, at least bring your top dogs to the show, man. If you're gonna do it. But I think then Dana White's trying to spit on boxing by saying I'm the first to do this in the Spear, and it's like we don't really care about the Spear that much in boxing because we got Turkey Al Sheikh doing stadium fights.
Yeah.
We in stadiums now, bro.
Yeah,
Wembley, we in Wembley in a couple weeks too.
Mhm.
Like we in 90,000 fans, 20,000 fans. Like you said, people can the hardcores can buy the tickets for those fights because they can go to the stadium fights for cheaper.
Uh-huh.
The arenas, the tank fights, those fights cost money, man. The Canelos, those fights cost money, but we got the stadium.
I think Dana, he gambled, and he tried to do something new, something different, something, but it was a horrible miscalculation on their part. Too many. Like you guys mentioned, you're talking about a Mexican holiday. You don't have a Mexican headlining. Then you're in Vegas the same day as Canelo. Then it's
Yeah,
crazy. Like that was they invested so much money into it that Dana White said nobody else is gonna fight there. Nobody else is gonna do it. And it's true. Nobody else is gonna do it because they don't want to lose a
all
shitload
that
of money.
money. Yeah, that's true.
And I think it's going to be really cool. I think it'll end up being a really cool event, but people aren't going to know that till after it happens. You know what I mean? And you can't make any money off of it after it happens because you're saying it's only a one-time thing. So if it's a one-time thing, why are you hyping it up so much? Like, if you're not going to go back, why are you making it out like it's going to be the best thing ever if you're not going to go back? You know what I mean? It's like they
Yeah,
lose money off of it.
and you're kind of actually doing boxing a favor because you're gonna show us what not to do when you go in there. We're gonna know what not to do with the Spear, how it looks, and your setup.
No,
The
listen.
tickets, like you said, you're gonna make the mistakes first, Dana White, and then we're gonna swoop in with the big fight and do it.
I don't think boxing is gonna go to the Sphere for the simple reason that, because of all the special effects, everything that happens on the inside, it's
Mhm.
automatically any event that is put on there is gonna be expensive. Any event.
Yeah,
And automatically, if you're coming in from another city per person, you're talking about 10 grand.
yeah,
So
that's true.
how
Yeah,
many people are gonna come to an event like that? How
hey
many?
man, Pacquiao and Floyd was crazy for that. I remember my dad and I went down for that. We couldn't even get tickets because it was just too much, man. Like we just had to go in the city and enjoy Vegas for that week because to go to the fight was too expensive.
I'm trying to tell you. So the Sphere is not a venue for boxing or for even combat sports. I believe that's a venue for concerts. That's a venue
Right.
for somebody like Celine Dion and shit like that.
Yeah.
Snoop Doggy Dog, for legends to go there. For legends to go there. You
Yeah, that's
gotta
what it really is, like experience,
you
right?
gotta remember when it comes to boxing, we have a casual fan base, but boxing doesn't have the type of fan base that they have in football, in basketball, or
Yeah.
even those famous singers. We don't have that type of fan base. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
not
You
like
got
that. We
like
just gonna take a
diehard
look.
fans. Yeah, that's true. Boxing's a very small sport compared to those sports, the niche sport. But yeah, man, I'm interested to see how they do though. I mean, Dana White's always talking about his pay-per-view numbers, so I'm sure they'll do well there, but it'll be interesting to see how Turkey Al Sheik does this going forward. Like maybe he's like, nah, the Spear's not it, but yeah, man.
The only way boxing gets into it is if Turkey is the one who puts it on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't think any of the big promoters will go in on it.
Oh,
What do you guys
Turkey,
think about Turkey talking about pay-per-views for $20? Like that sounds good.
I love it. I
man.
love it. I think he's heard a lot of the criticism of guys saying, "Oh, like you're making all these big UK and American fights, yet they're not happening in our country. So like, what are we doing here?" I think he heard that criticism and he's like, "Okay, I'm still gonna make them in my home country, but I'll let you watch them for not as much money." Like the Frazier Clark Fabio Wardley rematch. A lot of people are mad that that is in Saudi
That's
because
an
they
awesome
can
fight,
sell
man.
out arenas in the UK. But I don't like that criticism because it's either it happens in Saudi or it doesn't happen at all. So like, what I mean, I don't like that criticism. But for the people who are giving that criticism, at least now he's lowering the pay per view prices and making it more accessible and affordable to watch. So I like it.
No, I love it, man. Like I tell everybody, I pay $100 Canadian each pay per view, and like Canelo's 89 again, which with the exchange is going to be $100. It gets pricey, man. Like I might as well just go buy a Blue Jay ticket, go watch the Jays play, like bring my son, and like, you know, it's crazy, man. Like I'm basically paying to go to an event. Like I can go and watch an event for the same price almost, but it's like I'm not experiencing being there. If I'm going to a boxing match, I want to be in it, experience the crowd, the energy in the ring. And pay-per-view is just too expensive, and there's too many pay-per-views. Like it's oversaturated, man. Like there's just every month there's like 3 or 4. It's like, this is who's got the money to pay for all this. Like this is why the streaming is crazy right now, because everybody's like, we're not gonna pay for this. Inflation is high, you know. Like you said, people are living paycheck to paycheck. They can't afford forking out that type of money, man. So I'm glad Turkey Al-Sheikh, he's gonna put a knife in that. If he does good, he's got to do good though with it, or else people are just gonna continue to steal.
Yeah, it suck if you saw, or go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say it'd suck if you saw him lower the pay-per-view prices, but then the cards started to dip in value.
Yeah,
you would hate to see
yeah, that's true.
I don't think he's gonna do that.
Nah, I don't think so. I think he likes his big matchups.
Mhm.
He seems like he's more of a fan.
Yeah.
So, you know, I personally believe that when he lowers the prices, it is going to have a positive effect. Ryan, I told you that when we spoke offline earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What I believe is that once you set that price range at $20 or around there, you're going to open up the door to a whole new audience that cannot afford to order $100 fights and $90 fights. A lot more people are not going to say, okay, $20, I can buy that. A lot of people. So it may actually have the opposite effect. They might end up making more money because of the amount of people that decide that they're going to buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. And like guys like Pro Box are not going to be affected because they're already free. But the other promoters are going to have to adjust to this for sure. Like PBC and Eddie Hearn, if they do a pay-per-view, they got to think like, man, we can't sell a $50 pay-per-view when Turkey Al-Sheikh is selling $20 pay-per-views with a way better cards. Like, so it might adjust the market away in which the promoters don't like it, but it's good for the fans because now it's affordable for everybody.
I feel like Turkey's already done that. The way he's loaded these Saudi cards, I feel like he's made other promoters have to up their game with making big cards, because you notice the Zoo Fundora card that had Rolly versus Pitbull on the undercard. It had Arislandi Lara versus Michael Zarafa. It had Boachuk versus Mendoza. It had another Julio Cesare Martinez world title fight. So that card was loaded, and then you had David Benavidez and Tank on the same card. Like you don't.
That's true. Yep.
You're not seeing
about that.
2 years ago, you're not seeing that stuff. You know what I mean? So I feel like Turkey's introduction into boxing and him making huge cards has kind of forced others to step their game up in making big cards. So it's definitely a positive impact.
No, that's true, man. That's for sure. That's like everybody's got to step their game up, or else you're gonna get left behind, man. Like you're gonna be the guy who's not bringing us the best fights, and like Turkey Al-Sheikh, like you said, he's applied that pressure. It's interesting what he's gonna do now with all of the Golden Boy now and Top Rank. He's gonna give them Riyadh season cards. Do you think that's gonna be beneficial to those guys who are signed over there?
I believe it's gonna be very, very beneficial. Why? Because now we're talking about His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh has a relationship with Golden Boy, with Top Rank, and with the Zone. And I'm hearing that he's already behind the scenes talking with Al Heyman. So this relationship is gonna make it a lot easier for people to do cross-promotional fights, because now Eddie and Al Heyman might not talk to each other, but they both talk to His Excellency.
Yeah.
And as as somebody in the middle, he can make that fight happen.
If he gets Al Heyman, then he's basically done it. You know what I mean? Al Heyman, PBC is basically the last, and he's taken some PBC fighters and gotten them on his shows, like Pitbull Rayo, but if he gets out
Right,
and they
right.
start talking and they sign a partnership, then I mean, you've done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like because
David Morrell too.
he's done he's Matchroom, he's got him. Like he's in relations with them now. Top Rank and Golden Boy, all those UK guys, Boxer, and like Sky Sports, Boxer, Queensberry.
Queensberry,
He's
yep.
all them. So PBC's really the last one he like has to partner with, and if him and Al are in talks, then I mean, sky's the limit for him. Like
Yeah.
that'd be it. Like he's really got
And
boxing.
I think PBC needs him like in a way of they don't have a lot of dates on their card and they have like so many fighters. They got so many guys. So like Turkey Alice, she can get your guys active, man.
Listen, I've been telling people this. That Amazon deal is not as great as people think it is. And this is why. This is why. When you go to Amazon, what a lot of people don't realize, the deal that PBC has with Amazon is a distribution deal.
Right.
It means that Amazon is not giving you a dime up front.
Yeah, just to be on the platform.
Y'all sell the pay-per-views, Amazon get their cut, you get your cut. That's it. That's why you don't see Amazon promoting PBC. Amazon doesn't promote PBC anywhere. It doesn't promote any of their events. They have paid promotion via Amazon. But even if you go to their event, you'll notice a lot of them don't even have Amazon anywhere. You don't see an Amazon logo in the ring or floating on the screen because all they're doing is being a provider.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we do have a big platform, right? We have a big platform, but if you're somebody, to give you an example, in the welterweight division, who the hell are you gonna fight on Amazon?
Yeah.
Who else is signed to Amazon that you can fight? So you have no choice but to go across the street. That's the reason why we seen Subriel Matias left PBC.
Right.
Michel Rodriguez left PBC. A bunch of fighters.
Yeah.
El Bronco
Yeah.
Carlo Adames left PBC.
Even Vito Melnecki Jr. He's in Top Rank now.
The moment they went to Matchroom, a lot of fighters left PBC because they're like, who am I going to fight on Amazon? I'm going to fight you.
Yeah.
So they're still trying to figure it out how we're making it happen. That's what you see. Carmel Morton's fight was on Jake Paul's undercard. That wasn't on Amazon. That wasn't on Amazon.
Yeah, and Floyd too. Yeah, he was on Floyd's card.
That wasn't on Amazon. Yeah. So these guys that are with PBC, that ain't even fight on Amazon. They fought somewhere else. They're getting, put on cards somewhere else because there's no dates on Amazon.
So that's weird, man. Like Mayweather fighters are not fighting on PBC. Like they're fighting on the Zone. Like I just took that in. Like Floyd's fighting on the Zone too. Like I thought him and Al were.
They don't have enough to put together a card on Amazon.
That's crazy, man.
When was Amazon's first boxing card? It was March.
Tim Zhu. Yeah, Tim Zhu and
we've had March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and October. That's 8 months that have scheduled events on Amazon. So that's 8 months. And how many cards have we had? We've had Zhu, Canelo, Munguia, Tank versus Frank Martin, and then you haven't had one since then. You got Canelo Berlanga scheduled.
And two of them have been with the Zone because the Canelo fight with Munguia was with the Zone, and this one's gonna be with the Zone too.
So that's 6 cards in 8 months.
Yeah,
and you've got as many fighters as that PBC has.
But those cards haven't all been on the Zone. I mean, on
just exclusive. Amazon. Yeah, they haven't. Yeah,
not exclusively. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a problem, man. And I feel like they were trying to get this deal to prove to Amazon they could sell, but Amazon gotta be looking at this like this is not good.
Let me tell you something. Amazon was very smart, and I'm gonna tell you why. Basically, Al Heyman bamboozled Showtime.
For sure.
Random
budget. Yeah.
How did they ran them into the ground? Simple. They sold Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Ugas. they sold them as way bigger stars than they actually were. I'm not saying that those guys weren't stars, but they weren't superstars like that, right? So they guaranteed these guys millions of dollars, but they did not make that money. A lot of people don't know this, but
Yeah.
Showtime lost a lot of money with these fighters. A lot of money. Why? Because they guaranteed a purse, gave it to them, and then they weren't able to look. Let me
Recuperate,
tell you
yeah.
guys something. In case you don't know, a lot of people don't know this. So the way Showtime makes their money is via subscriptions, right? You subscribe to Showtime, they make money, right? So what Showtime expected is that when they say we got Danny Garcia, we got Ugas, we got that they were gonna get millions of subscribers and make a lot of money. Well, guess what? That did not happen.
Yeah.
Their stars did not bring in all those subscriptions that Al Heyman told them they would. So eventually Showtime lost a lot of money.
That's wild, man.
That's the reason why Showtime closed house.
Right out of the business too. Like they
Oh, so
closed, man.
Amazon said we're not gonna make the mistake Showtime made. We're not gonna give you no upfront money. We'll put up the platform, a distribution deal. A lot of people don't understand. It's a distribution deal, not like what they have with Showtime. Meaning you make the money based on what you sell.
Right. And I think they said something over. This is what I heard. If they can get into 1% of Amazon homes, they will give them a deal. But Amazon is such a big, like Prime is such a big. It's in
like
all
a
the
big
homes now.
service in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah. So how you gonna even get to 1%, man? If you can't even put up fights, you can't even put up cards. Like it's crazy.
And if you look at all the guys that are leaving PBC, it's young guys. You know,
Yeah.
it's Boots left. Matthias isn't very young, but he's young in his career.
Yes.
Vito. I mean, all these guys that are young in their careers.
Brandon Lee too. He left.
Brandon Lee.
Guys,
Yeah.
do you remember? Do you remember what Broner said a few years ago? I'm gonna remind you.
About getting paid in increments.
Nope. Broner said, yo, Steven Espinosa's done. Showtime is done. Yo, before you know it, we're gonna be fighting on Twitter. Y'all remember that?
Yo, he did say that. Yeah, you right, man.
So
He did say that.
So listen. That was actually an accurate prediction, and I'm gonna tell you why. The reason he said Twitter is because he already knew they had already Al burned his bridges with Top Rank, with ESPN, with Al Heyman. He had already burned his bridges with everybody, right?
Yeah.
So Broner's saying this because what he suggested, we're gonna go to an application that don't even do boxing because nobody's gonna mess with it. And that's exactly what they did. They went to Amazon Prime, who's never done boxing. So he was right when he said that. People laughed at him and he predicted it.
Yeah, no, I feel like guys only stay with PBC now because they've built a relationship with Al. But these younger guys who are really looking to build their careers and stay, I feel like the guys who are mostly in it for, I don't want to say in it for the money, but the older guys who are kind of still around, not really chasing legacy, but chasing a paycheck, they're the guys with PBC because they don't have to fight a whole lot and they're going to get paid when they do fight. But these younger guys who do want to fight a lot and do want to build their careers, they're leaving because they know they're not going to be active if they stay with PBC.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's just not enough dates, man. And I think it was Michael Zafra. He was talking about he was basically on a deal to fight Danny Garcia for the longest time, and the date just never came up. So he's just like, yo, forget it. And I don't understand how they do business like that. Just give people dates or fights that don't have dates. Like, how do you schedule somebody for a fight and you don't have a date? So, man, I like PBC because they got a lot of fighters, but I'm not like some fans. Like, I understand what happened with Golden Boy. All these guys were at Golden Boy. They were all there. Keith Thurman was there. Adrian Bronner was there. Wilder was there. Jermell Charlo was there. They were all there. And Richard Schaefer, he didn't re-sign none of these guys. When PBC came up, they just took them all. They just gave them all big contracts. And they were all living good. But I remember when they were at Golden Boy. And Oscar De La Hoya, he deserves a pat on the back because he built a lot of those guys. He built their careers.
But you gotta keep in mind, they're all living good and have all this money at Showtime's expense.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, for sure, man.
Ran Showtime over the town.
Oh man, yeah, you're right, man. They got big guarantees. Those guys did, man. They did well for sure. Like Spence Crawford, not Spence. Keith Thurman. He was their guy, man. Keith Thurman was that guy. He was. I remember when he was supposed to fight Floyd. He was like #1 in the WBA. He got a Pacquiao fight, even. So, yeah, man. I mean, boxing's crazy, right? How's like? Do you guys think streaming is gonna be the new thing though? Like the platforms, the apps. Is that going to take over the pay-per-views eventually?
I think it already has in a sense, yeah. Like
Mhm.
DAZN, I think DAZN's fastly becoming the biggest, at least boxing streaming service in the world. You know what I mean?
You know,
Yeah,
the
I was
funny thing
surprised.
about that is I still remember. I just wanted to point out. You
Mhm.
guys may have seen the interview when Leonard Ellerby said when they asked him about the zone years ago, he said we would never fight on an app. We're on Showtime.
Yeah, I remember
And
that,
look
man.
now.
Yeah, that was Floyd too. He was talking about Canelo when Canelo was fighting on the zone. He's like, yo, he's fighting on the app. It's like, yeah, but now look at you, Floyd. You are all on the app. Like, he's making good money apparently. 60
Guys,
million. Do you think he made 60 million for
guys,
that exhibition?
Hell no.
nah, cap. That's cap. I'm gonna
Yeah, I
call
think
cap on
Floyd
that.
gets his numbers confused a
Guys,
lot.
can you hear me, guys?
60,000. Two people watch those.
Yeah.
And does he
Guys,
charge
can
pay
you-
per view for those?
Yeah, it was a pay-per-view event,
I'd be
apparently.
surprised if they got over 10,000 buys.
Oh, those will never be reported, those numbers.
Yeah, because they're so low. Hurt
Yeah.
my ego too much.
Yeah, it was an exhibition. I mean, he had his Mayweather fighters on there at least. Like he had Cromwell and Joseph Brown and Johan. But like I was surprised that these guys are fighting on DAZN and not fighting on PBC cards because I always thought Mayweather and Al were like, brothers. Like they were hand in hand. But
I mean, guys like
He's,
Carmel just want to stay active, you know?
yeah, Cromel's he's been active. Yeah,
Because
which
he
is
didn't
good
fight
for
on
him.
I think Carmel's thing was he was just going to fight on every PBC card they had, just on the prelims, and they worked his way up. But
Yeah.
he had that little argument with Tank on Twitter or X.
Oh
so
yeah.
Tank like didn't let him fight on his card or whatever, and then next one wasn't till Berlanga Canelo. So I think Carmel PBC's not active enough for Carmel or any young fighter at that.
Oh
that
man. Yeah, Jay Swift, his internet just went out. Y'all check him out at Box Center. Yeah, he's on Instagram. He's a cool dude. He's from the Dominican Republic. Dominican, they got some fighters, man. Carlos Adames right now and Nicholas Flas.
Rohan
So,
Polanco is the best.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's good.
Yeah, man.
And Alberto Puello,
Yes, Alberto Puello. Yeah, man. I
he's
mean,
really good.
that was a good fight with him and Russell Jr. I think they should run
really
it back.
good.
That was
on what card was that on? That was on the Tank card too.
That was on the 10 card. Yeah, I think
so PBC really is loading their cards that they do have.
Yeah, they are. It's just like if you're not pretty much a top guy, you may not get a call at all.
And if you do, you're going to be prelims, not even televised.
Yeah.
That's the thing with PBC. Vito, since he's been with Top Rank, they're marketing him like crazy.
Yeah, they're building him and Xander for sure.
Same with Ron Ennis since he signed with Matchroom. Eddie Hearn just had him headline and sell out Wells Fargo, which is unbelievably impressive. And when you're a PBC, you're making a good amount of money, but you're not staying active and you're not being built into a star. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a problem, man. Especially when you're young, that's when you're fighting the most. Like you gotta make that money, get up the rankings,
and
get in these fights.
People always say it shouldn't be about the promoter. Like the promoter should stay behind the scenes and all that. And I agree with that to a certain extent, but I think you do have to take into account guys like Eddie Hearn really can build their he's really like he talks up his fighters. And
he's a good mouthpiece for sure.
Yeah, he marked his fighters well. Like Al Heyman, I can't really recall. Like, I don't think he was the one that really built Tank up. I think Floyd helped.
Yeah, Floyd. Yeah,
where he is, because Al doesn't really come out and talk about these guys. Al doesn't come out and talk at all. You know?
No, Al doesn't. Yeah, like you said, those guys got to do the talking for themselves. But
they still can. But when you got Eddie Hearn, he's really doing all the talking for you and hyping you up. And
Right.
active, making the dates, getting you good opponents, usually, except for this situation now with Jaron Ennis.
Yeah, and like and not everybody can be Adrian Bronner, right? Like everybody, Adrian Bronner press conferences are the best and his post fights, but like, yeah, man, you need a promoter sometimes. Like Dana White, he does a good job of it. I'll give him that props. Like he goes for his guys. Like guys, if the press talks bad about his guys, he sticks right up for them. And that's good, man. He's out there constantly. Any of his fighters who are on his roster, he's backing them.
Yeah,
now, even if they do bad, he's gonna tell them that they're doing bad too, which is good.
Yeah, I think it really is saying something bad that Jaron Ennis went from in early July selling out Wells Fargo, headlining, and now he is rematching Karen Chukajan, who they fought earlier in 2023. Boots won clearly, but it was compared to what we had seen from Boots in the past and what we see from him now, it was an unbelievably boring fight in Boots standards. And now that rematch is pretty much ordered to happen, and it's probably going to happen in Europe on some random show where you probably aren't even going to be able to get Eddie's not going to be able to get Boots' guys on the card, like Eddie just signed Jaleel Hackett. I'm sure that when he was playing in Boots' next fight, he already had slated Jaleel Hackett on the undercard. And I heard Raymond Ford was slated for that undercard too.
Oh, wow. That'd be a good card, man.
Yeah. I had just DM'd with the guy that Raymond Ford was supposed to fight. I'll pull it up right now. Because Raymond Ford was rumored to be fighting Orlando Gonzalez on a rumored Boots card on November.
He's in camp. I see he's in camp right now. So for sure.
Raymond Ford for a while had been rumored to return on November 9th on a Boots undercard against Orlando Gonzalez. So I texted Orlando last week and I said, "Hey Orlando, we've heard rumors about you and Raymond Ford fighting later this year. Can you confirm these rumors are true?" And he goes, "Yes, November 9th. So that basically set it over.
They got a date.
Yeah, that set it over the line. It was basically set in stone and planned. And now that you've got K2 Promotions really taking over the
holy crap. That makes sense, man, because I was talking to fucking what's his name? Shit, his name slipped my name right now. Oh man, Rick Glazier. I was talking to him and he said November 9th. I was saying, what do you think about Boots and Ennis? He said November 9th. Like he said, book it. And I was like, that's the day? He's like, yeah. So wow, like he was right on point with that, man.
It was set, and now I don't know what those guys are gonna do because I don't think K2 Promotions is having. I don't even think Raymond Ford and those guys would want to go over to Germany and fight.
You're right.
And
they're not going to get paid the same way.
I don't know if Eddie would be able to get those guys on that card because he's not the leading promoter for the fight. So, yeah, it really just throws a whole loop. It seemed like they really had that planned. It seemed like it was close to being announced November 9th for either Norman Jr. or Karen. But, like, I feel like maybe now they're going to keep them – maybe they're going to try and keep the November 9th date and maybe find a 154 guy to fight. But that seems like it'd be rushed because it's that's only 2 months away now. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be rushed, man.
It's a bad situation because you've got Boots going over to fight a guy who he's already fought, beat, was a boring fight, and he'd be doing that in Europe probably. And now it seems like you've already planned out the whole undercard for November 9th, and now it all fell through because you didn't win the purse bids.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
By 250,000, so it's not like it was close. They didn't even want to win it, And Matchroom obviously got a lot more money than K2.
Yeah, he tried to lowball for sure.
Like I don't know. If I'm Boots, I'm a little upset because Eddie's promised me unification. He's promised me Terence Crawford. He's promised me all these big things, and I've got David Avanesian and Karen.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's true. Like, you couldn't even get me unification with Norman. Like,
yeah, if I'm Eddie, if they want $2 million and I'm offering them 1.5, I know 500,000's a lot, but I'm not saying Norman's not good. But I was at his fight in March against Janelson Figueroa.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Norman was on his way to losing that fight. He got dropped in the second round, bad, caught with a clean right hand, face first on the ground, got up. Then in the next round, cuts opened up, and they had to stop it, make it a no contest. I mean,
Okay. Was that the boy checker fight? Was that?
no, that was against Janelson Figueroa
Oh, okay.
in Verona, New York. That was his last fight until the Giovanni Santillan fight, which he won the interim title in. But and I'm not saying he didn't have a good performance against Santillan, but I think that was his night. I think that was a great style, and I think he's even going to struggle with the guy he's fighting on November 8th. I'm not saying Norman's overrated, but
yeah, no, he's young, man. He has time to grow. They took
does.
that fight on short notice for Stallion.
Yeah, and I think he is. I think he's young, and it shows in the ring.
Yes,
He's
yeah, exactly.
He's
Yeah,
world champion already, but like what I'm trying to say is I think they really should have taken the Boots fight because it's an opportunity against one of the best guys in the sport. First off, it's an opportunity to unify. Second off, it's your biggest payday by far. And if you lose, you're losing to one of the best fighters and best young fighters in the sport. And you're only 23. You've got plenty of time to rebuild and grow. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I really think they should have taken that fight. Because now I think he's going to fight this guy on November 8th. He's a world title. He's a world champion. He's not even headlining. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not even a world champion. So I don't know. I feel like it's a lose-lose in his next fight because he's not making a ton of money. It's not going to be seen by a lot of people, and he might struggle a little because this guy he's fighting 27-1. It's a solid record and 19 knockouts. So Norman,
yeah, he's got some power.
Mm-hmm. So,
No, absolutely, yeah. And I think he's so young, so that's why I'm looking at it. Like if he can somehow slide in the Stanionis fight or even the Barrios fight, if he can get another belt, man, Eddie Hearn's gonna be mad because that price is gonna go up again.
Yeah,
if he wants that fight.
They're stubborn, it seems, with money.
Yeah, and that's just because they told the world they want undisputed. So when you do that, people are they're not gonna sell you the belt for free, man. They're gonna make you pay.
Yeah, that's true. Eddie and Boots said they wanted undisputed, so now guys are gonna know that they really want it. They must be willing to pay a lot.
Gotta come get it. Yeah. So it's like you sold your hand, man. I think they should have never said anything about that. They should have kept with the chatter with Crawford because at least people thought he was moving up. And just surprise on the low, try to get those other fights. And
I'm really
that would have been good for him.
Now is though, there's I give it a 1% chance that fight with Karen happens on K2 Promotions in Europe.
Yeah, that's got to be.
Matchroom accepts that,
and that's unfair to Bozy because now his whole legacy talk and all that's going to be in question because it's like. You got to go over there and defend now your belt if you really want belts.
Yeah.
If not, then you guys are just like the other guys. You just want money. So,
and it'd be one thing. Tough spot. Never fought Karen before, and like they could market it as, oh, we're going over to enemy soil to defend against this guy who's not a lot of people know about. But no, people know about Karen because he had that boring fight with Boots just a year ago. So oh my God, I don't even say there's another fight going on that day. I'm watching that other fight because
yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely.
Karen's not going to beat Boots, but he's not I don't think Boots is going to get a crazy knockout either because we've seen what Karen's about. When Karen has gotten in there with Boots, he's been slick, he's avoidant, and I don't know. It's just it's so disappointing the situation with Boots right now because you've got such a young star who's unbelievably talented, yet he can't he's at such a bad spot right now. He's caught a rock hard place. Because I don't want him to move up to 54. I want him to take out all the welterweights and legacy. Don't chase Crawford. You know what I mean? Make your own.
Yeah.
Crawford
make your own lane. Yeah, for sure.
Crawford wasn't chasing. I feel like guys nowadays, like Benavidez, they all think you need to be a big name guy to be a big name. Crawford never really beat a big name guy to become a big name. He just beat the guys he had to beat, beat him in style, and built off that. Same with Triple G.
Exactly. Yeah, Triple G. Yep.
I feel like the biggest stars are built off of just winning, getting it done. In a way, was Yeah, he beat Donaire, but like in a way, he's going to start him because he's that good and it's just constantly been running through people. I think Boots would build a better stardom, taking out these young guys and moving up and fighting Terence Crawford and potentially losing. I don't know. I think he could be another Terence Crawford if he follows what Terence Crawford's doing or did, which is stay at the weight you're staying at, clear out the weight class, move up. If you got
I agree, man.
business at a weight class, finish it before you move up. You know what I mean?
No, I totally agree. Like, I think Boots could make his own lane, and I think he should because I always encourage fighters to do that. Like you said, like Benavidez, I'm glad he just jumped off that bandwagon of Canelo and saying that, yeah, I'm staying at 75 because I'm next in line for a potential more dangerous fight with Beterbiev or Bivol. Like, those guys are probably more dangerous than Canelo. So I'm like, all right, if that's you think you could beat those two, then you don't fear Canelo. Like, you're not really looking at him. And you can make your own lane because you're big enough to go up to cruiser even. I think Benavidez could fill out his body. So he can even undispute in a couple divisions as well or win titles in a couple divisions. He just gotta, he's gotta stay focused and understand that, this is my life, this is my career. I'm gonna define my own legacy instead of Canelo defining my legacy. Because I don't think that's, like you said, chasing fighters makes no sense, man.
Yeah,
you gotta make your own lane.
Yeah, like I look at guys like Boots who's seemingly just chasing a Crawford fight. It's like obviously he's in it for legacy, but like I look at guys like Jao Pataya, he's in it for legacy. Are there any big names at cruiserweight besides him? No. But he's taking out the champions because he wants belts and he wants legacy. He could easily be saying, oh, I want to move up to heavyweight and fight Usyk. I want to fight Fury. I want to move to heavyweight and fight all these guys. No, he's doing what he's got to do and making his own legacy. Tim Tszyu, he's going straight for the belts. Does anybody know Bakar Murataliev? No.
Yeah.
But he's got a title, and Tszyu's taking him on because he wants legacy and he wants the titles back. So I value guys that like we talked about Jared Anderson earlier. He's not worried about anything except money. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if he just takes another fight. I wouldn't be surprised if they made Andy Ruiz versus Jared Anderson next, because that'd sell a lot as like past like Andy Ruiz. Yeah, they say he's Mexican and whatever. He's an American guy.
Mexican American, yeah, for sure.
American, but he's an American guy. That'd be like American versus America, past versus present. They're both coming off not great performances, so they could make that fight. And yeah, I don't know, but I value guys that chase belts because that more than anything shows you're going for legacy, not just big fights and big paydays. You know what I mean? No,
for sure. And like when you can clear out an entire division, it's like no debate who's the number one guys. No debate. There's only one guy who's got all the belts, and yeah, I value that too. I don't understand why fans say, it matters who you. Yeah, it matters who you fight in a way, but I think you got to create your own legacy. What do you want to leave the sport with, man? You want to be known as the guy who just made all the money, or you want to be known as the guy who dethroned a lot of champions, defended the belts, fought your mandatories. You didn't duck no smoke, man. You took everybody who was coming near you. Like, I think there's two different tales, and at the end of the road, like we're looking at Floyd, man. We look at Floyd because he beat 20 champions. Like, that's his big feat right now. I beat 20 champions. That means something. A lot of guys are not fighting champions like that these days. So
it's almost like these guys are trying to fast track superstar and fast track making their legacy. Like Boots won in the Crawford fight. It's like you gotta make your way there. It's not like you haven't earned it, but stop chasing that so much and just make your own legacy. Benavidez. It's not like you haven't earned the Canelo fight, but how did Canelo make his legacy? He just won. He fought the champions and he beat him. How did Floyd make a legacy? He fought the champions and he beat him. How did Crawford do it? Fought the champions and he beat him. That's how you make a legacy in the sport, not just by rushing into the big fights and no matter what, you know what I mean? You make a legacy by building yourself, not
absolutely, man.
Guy's success to just beat him and make a name for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And Benavidez, like he's got some good wins, like Caleb Plant and Demetrius Andre. Like those are two good back-to-back wins. So he can get in there and beat Bivol or better be like that. Just adds more to his legacy at the next division. Because even Vozick was a former champ, wasn't he? WBC champ for the light heavy. So I mean, he beat a former champ already at 75. You know, that's
I feel like Benavidez, those Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andre, and Vozick wins are almost overlooked because all he's been doing is talking about Canelo. He's making it seem like that's the only good guy in the division. That's the only guy.
Right.
He's making it seem like Andrade and Plant are just keep me busy until Canelo will fight me. Like, no, those are very good wins. I don't think Canelo's beat a guy at 168. I don't know. Callum Smith was on a similar level to Andre, but like since in Canelo's since the Bivol fight, Canelo has not beaten a guy as good as Demetrius Andre.
Yeah.
Benavidez beat him. He knocked him out in 5 rounds. That's a very impressive win, but nobody talks about that because all David did when he was at 168 was talk about Canelo.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, man. Yup, that's exactly what he did. And like that's all the fans talk about. And you know, I think when you got a guy whose fan base doesn't really want you to fight him, you don't force it, man, because then it looks like you're desperate, and that's the way it looked like for David. Like he was just desperate for that fight. I feel like the only way he could have got is if he's forced the mandatory, just forced the WBC to order up the fight. But if he doesn't want to go that route, he doesn't have to because he's got Bivol and better Bivol also. You know, he can force that fight, which he's doing, and that's a more dangerous fight in my opinion than Canelo.
I heard David's going to fight at the end of the year, and I heard Morella's too. I don't think they're fighting each other, but I'd be very curious to see who those guys are fighting at the end of the year because other than Bivol and Better Biev, 175 isn't that loaded of a division other than the UK. Yeah, and I don't think Benavidez or Morel are going to bring either of those UK guys over to the States for a fight that's not for like a title. Like Benavidez, I don't think he's bringing over Anthony Yard. I don't think he's bringing over Joshua Buatsi, who are the two big UK light heavyweights. Like, I don't think Morel is either. I'd just be very curious to see who those guys are going to fight.
Yeah, Buatsi. Yeah, I think Buatsi's fighting.
He's fighting
Willie Wembley card, isn't he?
Yeah, he's fighting Willie Hutchinson. But even he should win that one probably. And even if he does, I don't like those UK guys aren't going to come over to the States for a fight on PBC against a guy who's not even a world champion. You know, they're gonna stay in the UK unless it's Riyadh season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true, man. But yeah, bro, I'm gonna wrap it up, man. I'm just gonna slide out here. Let the people know where they can find you, Ian.
Ian Green. I'm a founder of Top Boxing News, Top.Boxing News on Instagram, and yeah. That's it. Check me out. Check the page out.
Absolutely, man. And we had our guy Jay Swift from the Dominican Boxing Center. Check him out. He's on YouTube as well. And thanks to everybody for tuning in, man. Thanks for Ian Green for coming through. Hopefully we can do this again sometime soon, man. All right. Peace, bro.
See you, Ryan.